And so you cannot immunize sick, malnourished children and expect them to get away with it. You'll kill far more children that would have died from a natural infection. And then let's see, TP says, if you're on an ACE2 inhibitor, does that increase or decrease the chance of spike protein? That's a great question. So some people have theorized that if you're on an ACE inhibitor, you may cause an upregulation of those receptors. So, if you have certain receptors and you block them, and then, so when the receptors are blocked, the body makes more of those receptors. So you then tend to upregulate those receptors. And so when you upregulate those receptors, you have more receptor sites. And so paradoxically, if you have, angiotensin 2 receptor blockers and all of that in your system, you may be upregulating angiotensin 2 receptors and therefore allowing for penetration. That's one. I think that is one. I think probably the bigger component, because I think there are a lot of factors working together, is the fact that if you're on an angiotensin 2 receptors, you have a biological process that's impeding a lot of things. So, your innate, your first line immune therapy. So maybe your lungs are not creating adequate inflammatory markers. And a lot of people have underlying inflammation. When we did our study looking at patients with hypertension, obesity, and hyperlipidemia, which is this population here, when we put them on a natural plant-based diet, we saw greater than 30% reduction in C-reactive protein. We also saw that the white cell count went down. The white cell count went from about 6 to down about 4, a significant drop. We saw a significant drop in IL-6, a cytokine, and other inflammatory markers. Now, what that tells me is that these individuals, even though the average age was around 50-something in this population we studied, we saw, and they were not diabetic, we saw a reduction in hemoglobin A1C. That was the other thing we saw of significance in just 4 weeks. The point I'm making is that in this population that had these other things, hyperlipidemia, obesity, and hypertension, we saw a decrease in their inflammation and immune system. So what does that mean? Oftentimes people with chronic illnesses, even though it's a chronic illness that's not cancer, not autoimmune disease, et cetera, but just a standard garden variety chronic illness, they will have an abnormal immune system as well. There's this concept of immunosenescence, which deals with the generation of immune system as people get older. You probably have some level of immunosenescence in the setting of chronic illness. You don't have to get old, quote unquote. You just need to get sick. And so some markers of footprints of immunosenescence is a little bit high white count, increased C-reactive protein, increased cytokines. And so what happens is that you're bombarding yourself with lots of inflammatory things. So if I eat a steak dinner, there's a lot of components on that steak that triggers inflammation, increases cytokines. And so your immune system is in a constant revved up state. And so it's in disarray. And so immune disarray leads to an overreactive and abnormal immune system response. So like your immune system is in disarray, they're constantly being bombarded. And so your white cells are out and you're chiming out these killer cells and all of that. So then you get a real big infection and things are chaotic. And so then you have this overwhelming reaction to, say, COVID or whatever the infection is, lots of mucus membrane, lots of fever, et cetera, et cetera. And because the immune system is in disarray, it can't turn itself off. And so what leads to the death in these patients isn't so much overwhelming infection, even though they have lots of infection, because they can't, stall it, but it's an overwhelming adverse immune reaction. Cytokine storms, that's why you get lots of blood clots, and that's why you get, inflammation of the lungs, ARDS. And all of these things happen because you have an immune system that's overactive and in disarray. A healthy immune system that's calm and not revved up all the time is going to react swiftly, accurately, and appropriately, and it's going to turn itself off. So your first level of immune system, the innate immune system, is going to be rapid, kill it, and then it's going to turn things off. And then it's going to pass on information to the adaptive immune system so that it has memory down the road. But a healthy immune system, you only need the innate immune system up front. It does its job and it turns off, and it does it in an orderly fashion. But in the setting of chronic illness, you have the revved up immune system is in disarray. And so it doesn't allow you to, it doesn't effectively fight, doesn't provide an effective defense up front. And it's in such disarray, it causes more of an illness, systemic illness, because then it starts to attack self. And it doesn't turn off cytokines, free radicals go crazy, et cetera, et cetera. Any other question? Did I overlook something?
I just wanted to comment on one of the questions that Mr. Paul put in about at 7:45. You see that one? That's breastfed babies have stronger immune systems. And I think because people automatically think that it's an automatic type of relationship. That depends on what the mom is eating, because everything that the mom eats is what she passes to her baby. So if mommy is eating a lot of fast food and processed food, that's what she's passing to her baby. And so those babies are not as protected as they could be. I'm trying to use, I'm not saying that they are going to be sick immediately, but they are not as protected as they could be, because they are still getting something that has immunoglobulins from a live human to another live human, but they will be likely missing some of the things that could protect them long term. We're also building a microbiome with breast milk. So it's more than just, it's a lot that's happening when mommies are breastfeeding. So they have to be mindful of what they're putting in their body and what they're doing with their body, because they're passing that to the baby to build an immune system, to build a microbiome, to build their foundation, is what we're doing in those formative years.
Yeah, and also they need to eat right when the baby's in utero as well. I mean, I think it's great.
Well, that goes without saying. So that parents will do that because in their mind they see that the baby's inside, and so they think they know that. And then when the baby comes out, they're like, "Ooh, I can start drinking my wine again," or I can have my coffee again. No, you have to act like the baby's still inside, because you're still giving everything to the baby.
Yeah, but they eat cheeseburgers. I've seen women eat cheeseburgers when they're pregnant. I mean, should a pregnant woman eat a cheeseburger? Should a pregnant woman eat a donut?
You know the answer to that. I think, things like donuts and croissants and, and French fries are really terrible. Potato chips for children and definitely for adults for cholesterol. We have a couple of people concerned about cholesterol issues, and I just would like to let them know that there's hope. But with the plant-based diet, increase the raw in the diet, and you'll see cholesterol numbers improving. You'll see blood sugar going down. You'll see body fat decrease. But do watch the sugar and the starches. Not some people, when they cut back on something, they increase the sugar or the starches. But the plant-based, more raw salads, green smoothies, and things like that. And I think you will see improvement. So many times as we mature, our body doesn't tolerate the same diet that we've tolerated, or even if we've improved, we have to go further as we get older. And so that's a point I wanted to say.
That's a great point. And more raw foods in the diet and locally grown. And you're a big advocate of organic, and I agree with that. We just have to be very aggressive. We talk about extreme measure. We went through a lot of extreme measures with, staying on lockdown and, all of this other stuff. Let's go to some extreme measures that work. Go to an extremely healthy diet, an extremely healthy, lifestyle, raw detox and sleep and all these wonderful things. Evie, 170, she's said that lockdown in Melbourne. Yeah, share the show, share the information about the webinar. We'll give you a lot of information. Now, Dr. Paul Williams said that all the fireflies flew to Georgia.
They flew to Georgia. Okay. I need to go down to Georgia to visit them.
I think it's a red state. The taxes are lower, so I think they're. So anyway, so pesticides. We played outside till the street lights went on. That's great. Let me know if you see another question. I'm going through some of these comments.
This has come down a little. This is me saying no one's talking about recreational drug use and drinking from depression from this lockdown, but we kind of are touching on that because recreational drugs also include this processed food that we're talking about. Because I know you're talking about drugs, but yes, we know that the liquor stores were open the whole time during the pandemic. And I'm sure drug use went up. And I know I'm speaking for the pediatrics and for children. I know that they were eating more processed food, more chemicalized food, because a lot of parents felt guilty that their children had to stay in the house. And I'm putting that in air quotes because they were literally keeping them inside the house. So it was kind of like a year of a free for all with snacks staying in the pantry and, ordering out and kind of sleep when you want, do what you want. Don't go outside though too much. But yeah, so I think all of that, and the children also have been heavily dealing with anxiety and depression. So that has been a major issue in pediatrics too, because we're seeing a lot of kids that we're having to do counseling with now because of the anxiety that goes along with this lockdown.
Yeah, that's a great point, and hoping people change. I see, kids are getting out, at least where we are. They're getting out more and doing more. Donna Zurcher raised a healthy question. Is a healthy overweight person still at risk? That's a great question, because let's say somebody starts off overweight and like that, they start to make changes, start to do detoxes, start loading vitamin D, getting outside, they're exercising, fresh air, and they're making these changes. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 35, day whatever. They're setting your body up in a trajectory. So let's say, for instance, on day 0, you're overweight and unhealthy. And then on that day, you immediately start detoxing, cleansing your system out, etc. And, you start losing weight, but you're still overweight. Maybe your BMI is, 55, but it drops down. And you're on that course. You're doing all the right things. You're sleeping, you're exercising, raw detox, etc., your supplements. And then you catch COVID on day 7 or day 13 or whatever. You're still in that quote unquote theoretical unhealthy condition. I know from clinical experience, my patients, I don't have a study, but I have patients who have heart failure. One patient in particular comes to mind, but there's several I know of. Congestive heart failure, morbid obesity, etc., was on detox, something, getting their D levels up, contracted COVID while still with heart failure and obesity, etc., but doing a natural detox. And this patient, one in particular told me, but I had several had similar stories, that the infection was the mildest pneumonia. He had infections before, upper respiratory tract and pneumonias before. It's the mildest they'd ever had. So he caught COVID, got over it rapidly. And he was confident as what he was doing with his diet and lifestyle. So the point is simply this. Yes, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the webinar. Can you protect yourself from COVID-19 despite having a chronic illness? So what if you do have, not only overweight, but what if you do have heart failure? What if you do have autoimmune disease? And what if you have 10 disorders today? Can you protect yourself? Can you do some things? The answer is yes, there's lots you can do. And we're going to cover that. So make sure, we keep that in mind. So that's a great question. Yes, sir.
I've been biting my tongue long enough. So, yeah, when we talk about the word healthy, I always want to put the adjective in front of that word where you're talking about good health or poor health. When people say I'm healthy, I'm saying, well, you're good healthy or you're poor healthy. So healthy is just is not the adjective that describes what we are. But, my philosophy about that is that if you're eating the proper diet that is amenable with your body, and we talk about plant-based, raw, natural, organic, with no pesticides and foods that are non-inflammatory, well, your body will will go where it needs to go as far as your health and weight. You don't have to have a number to determine what your weight is. So when you say healthy, overweight, it automatically implies to me that there's an imbalance. It may not be an imbalance where you have diabetes or high blood pressure or an extreme symptom like that, but it's an imbalance in the fact that your body is maintaining more calories. So you put yourself at risk. We talked a few minutes ago about how the antibiotics, Dr. Palmer mentioned, has an effect. And you mentioned the inhibitors. So, when you talk about things that inhibit, things that block, things that destroy your biome, all of these are things that tend to affect your metabolism or your metabolic systems in your body. And the whole idea of eating a plant-based, clean diet and getting the sleep and the rest is to improve and enhance your metabolic processes. If you do that, then you will maintain optimal health. But we haven't really turned around. So I go back to the title again. You say, is it the COVID or is it the chronic conditions? And Dr. Palmer, again, I heard her say eating, because eating is a chronic condition. We eat all the time, every day. So it has an accumulative effect. So if you're eating the wrong things, or you're eating things that are inflammatory, which can cause weight gain and can cause a host of all the other chronic conditions, then that's where we'll be. So we really have to change that. I want to emphasize to the audience again, you have to change your diet. Dr. Montgomery, you referred to being extreme. We need to get extreme. But I want extreme to become normal. Well, if we think that's extreme, we still have a long ways to go. And then as far as my last thing is, as far as the cheat day, as a podiatrist, when people take a cheat day, I call it shooting yourself in the foot. So if you want to shoot yourself in the foot, then that's your cheat day. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I like that. I use that analogy a lot. I'm not a podiatrist, but it's sort of like that thing with people, you get manicures every day of the week, but once a month you shoot yourself in the foot, your feet are mangled. I want to apologize to the audience. One of these crazy comments made it. And what happens that when I click on the comments are coming up, and so I was clicking on one and that moved up into my click zone and I didn't see it. So I had to block it. So I apologize. Y'all saw that crazy comment. Somebody says, thanks for blocking it. But I'm trying to multitask here and I'm going back and forth, and one of these got on. So I blocked that person. So just ignore that from the session. But we need to lift each other up. That's correct. And so there are a few other comments here. So any final words from my colleagues, Dr. Palmer, Dr. Pam Atkins, Dr. Ford Atkins?
Well,
Anybody?
I just want to, I can't underemphasize the help of vitamin D. So, everybody should be taking vitamin D unless they have some contraindication. But I say if they take more than 5,000 a day, need to check with their doctor and check their levels. But for those with sarcoidosis or hypercalcemia or blood thinners, could check with your doctor. But it can make a difference having a healthy vitamin D level. That can be a game changer or lessen the severity. And there are many studies about that, and we've talked about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that vitamin D, if there's one supplement that if you can remember one supplement, remember the vitamin D, with the exception, like Dr. Atkins says, special circumstances, because that's, you get to the seasonal aspect, the vitamin D levels are very low. And so I think that's important that we understand that. Anybody else final comments as we wrap up this wonderful show?
Just, echoing everybody, just remembering to keep everything in alignment, meaning, getting outside, getting some fresh air, getting outside every day, speaking positivity into yourself when you wake up in the morning, because now it's kind of like we're in a battle. And so when you wake up in the morning, just tell yourself, we're going to have a good day. You're going to be met with probably a lot of negativity because of what's happening around us, but you got to kind of keep your mind. I think right now, what's really important is keeping our mind in a positive space. Again, I don't want to get too mystical, but I think that's really important at this time.
Yep. I agree.
Finally, I just have to say one more time, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Just make a good decision. We operating on knowledge, so we have to use what we have, and don't reverse or undo the things you do. So when you do something good, keep moving forward. Don't say, "Oh, I could step back and take a break," because like you've said before, there are no breaks at this point in where we are in life.
That's right. That's right. Well, I couldn't say it better. And I want to thank my friends and colleagues. I'll see you guys backstage while I close out. Again, I always learn from this, and I learn from obviously my colleagues and the comments and the points that are made in the chat. And of course, thank each and every one of you. I want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear. Of course, hit that thumbs up button, hit the notification button if you subscribe, so that you can get notification on future talks and discussions. And also, I want to remind you to share this information. This is information that I think we all need to have. The mainstream media has large voices, and they're pushing a different narrative. And we need to get information that's empowering to you as an individual. The last thing I want to do is mention, just remind you, and I'm going to share my screen about I'm going to remind you about the webinar that is the first one is going to be this Saturday, September 11th at 1 o'clock Central Time. I have another one next Thursday, September 16th at 7:30 Central Time. And we'll be covering a lot of things. The topic is the Delta variant, vaccines, your health. Where should your focus be? And we're really going to cover the basics of it. And I'll cover a lot of things I've covered in some of these YouTube channels, just putting it all together. But I'll also talk about some pathophysiology. What I'm trying to do is give you some understanding of how infections work, how your body works, and what you could do to empower yourself against this terrible disease. And then there's going to be a Q&A session. So you'll be able to, communicate, ask questions, and we'll be talking. So we're going to have a good time. These are the dates and the times. So for those of you who can go and register, it's montgomeryheart.com/webinar. So again, that ends another wonderful session. Again, your health is the most important. This is a pandemic of bad health. Not really a pandemic of just the virus. There are going to be many other viruses, many other bugs, and they're going to come and they're going to go. But what you have to remember is that you have to, restore yourself. It's almost like having a bulletproof vest. You can't, there may be snipers around, but if you got your armor, you got your bulletproof mask and bulletproof helmet and bulletproof vest and bulletproof pants, you can't stop them from shooting at you, but you can stop the penetration. And we want you to arm and fortify yourself nutritionally and health-wise against not only this virus, but future ones to come. Until next time, keep it fresh, natural, and live. Greetings, I'm Dr. Batcha Montgomery. Thanks for joining us this evening. I want to share information about our FoodRx Healthy Lifestyle Series. The FoodRx Healthy Lifestyle Series is a comprehensive health and wellness coaching program designed to help you navigate your lifestyle towards optimal health. Do you want to reverse or control a chronic illness, or reduce or eliminate medications? You may want to avoid potential surgeries or medical procedures, or perhaps boost your immune system or improve your fitness level, or much more. The program starts with an intense 5-session, 4-week virtual coaching jumpstart phase, where you'll join a group of like-minded individuals dedicated to improving their health. You'll be provided a lot of support materials, including nutrition plans, recipes, supplement plans as needed, or fitness plans, or much more. You have full-year access to the support materials as well as our health and wellness team during and at the completion of the 4-week Jumpstart period. To learn more about this program, connect on one of our links below or schedule a call with our team members. Let them know if you wish to speak to me directly and they'll arrange a time for you. Optimal health is a lifelong journey. Let us help you navigate it to your most desired destination.